Hi, I'm Rick Anthony, and welcome to the Someone You Should Know podcast, the podcast that focuses on musicians, authors, and interesting people. We like to say we're making a difference one artist at a time. So sit back, have a cold one, and get ready to meet someone you should know. My guest this time on the Someone You Should Know podcast is a talented singer-songwriter from Brooklyn, New York. He has written or co-written for many music superstars, including his late wife, the great queen of the disco, Donna Summer. He's with us this time to talk about his latest album called Talkin Ugly Truth, Tellin Pretty Lies. Will you please welcome, all the way from Milan, Italy this evening, it is Bruce Sudano.
I'm doing great, Rick. Happy to be with you.
Bruce, growing up in Brooklyn, I understand that you started playing in bands at the ripe old age of 13. And what was it like growing up in Brooklyn and discovering you had a passion for music at such a young age?
It was a great time. It was the 60s and the 70s. And as a kid, I got taken to the Brooklyn Paramount Theater where, I sat there as a 9-year-old for the first time and saw all these performers on the stage, Little Anthony and the Imperials, Chuck Berry, the Impalas, vocal groups, solo artists, rock and roll musicians. And it was quite an impressive event. And subsequently, my father had a jukebox route. I don't know if people remember
I
jukeboxes.
love that.
So anyway, he would come home on a Friday with a box full of 45s that either he was going to switch back into the machine or he had just taken out of the jukebox or whatever. But I got it, engrossed in these 45s, and I became intrigued by the names in parentheses, the name or the names underneath the song title, and this was the songwriters. Mm-hmm. And for some, really unknown reason, this was what really attracted me. This was the place where I felt that I could have a place in the music world. And so from a very early age, I started writing songs, attempting to write songs. I started putting bands together in my neighborhood and as a way to continue to grow as a writer and to try these songs out with the band. Ultimately, I formed a band called Alive N Kickin with Pepe Cardona, and we worked the band. We worked mostly the tri-state area, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Long Island, like that. And in those days there was kind of like a pecking order of club levels that you could play, and ultimately Alive N Kickin worked its way up the ladder to where we were playing in the top club in Manhattan. This was 1968, and it was a place called the Cheetah. And it was there that I met Tommy James, who coincidentally had an apartment, was right around the corner from the club. This was 8th Avenue and 53rd Street. And I would go on breaks and try and write songs with him. And at every available moment, go up to his apartment and really learn from him. And he, was gracious enough to take me in and allowed me to do this mentorship. And subsequently, I was able to, myself and Woody Wilson, the bass player in Alive N Kickin, we co-wrote a song with Tommy called Ball of Fire, which became a pretty big record for him. And the following year, he produced our band, and we had Alive N Kickin had a top 10 record called Tighter and Tighter in 1970.
Which I heard today. So I was just telling Bruce, I said, hey, I hope there's a royalty check heading somewhere's way.
Yeah. That's a very kismet kind of situation.
Yeah.
But no royalties
No.
there. This was Roulette Records, and I mean, Tommy wrote a great book about it called The Music, the Mob, and Me. But, Morris Levy was the president of Roulette Records and was an infamous guy in those early days of the record business, and was notably someone that you didn't cross with, and So, I was just a teenager, skinny with long hair, and, would go up there and say, Morris, can we have some money? Because, we have a hit record, and he would say, all right, kid, and he'd write me a check, 500, 1000, 1500, whatever. And I'd go on my way. But we never got a royalty check.
Oh, dear
In all
God.
these years, I've never seen a royalty check, which
Oh,
is,
dear God.
perfectly fine. I don't perfectly fine. But, I think that, normally there's a certain amount of that you pay to get into the world of the music. And it's not uncommon for a new artist to have to sacrifice, certain things to get their foot in the door and to make their way. And
Wow.
then as you make your way, you're able to, rectify situations,
During that
That's
time
been
frame,
my
the
experience.
early 70s, you were opening for Chicago and Frank Zappa, just to name a few. What do you remember most during that time frame, or what did you learn from watching those acts?
I don't, it was, I guess just, the professionalism of how to tour on that level, and how to engage an audience. I mean, I think it was a pretty good live band. We worked live 5 nights a week for years on end.
Hmm.
So we were seasoned live performers. In that band, actually, I was the keyboard player. I was the Hammond B3 guy
Uh,
in Alive N Kickin.
my favorite instrument.
And yeah, so I mean, we just saw how it was, and as a kid in Brooklyn, you kind of romanticized all this stuff, of like really what it was like and who these people were. And I think the biggest revelation was that they were no different than you or me, and but also at the same time, you recognize their commitment to what they did, the professionalism with which they approached everything, and the great talent that they possessed. So it gave you things to aspire to in multiple directions.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now we're going to skip ahead to 1977. Your group Brooklyn Dreams made some big impact in the late 70s. You met your future wife, Donna Summer, in 77, while Brooklyn Dreams was at Casablanca, the same record label at Donna. What do you remember meeting her the very first time? What did you take away from meeting her for the very first time?
What did I take away from meeting her the very first time?
What was the thing that struck you about her?
Well, I mean, in meeting her, when I met her, she had just returned from Germany.
Right.
She was living in Germany for 8 years. She had gone over there as a 19-year-old, a girl from Boston. She went over to join the German cast of Hair. She did a number of musicals over in Europe. Godspell to Me, Nobody Knows. She was part of Vienna Folks Opera. She had a couple of regional hits. Basically, they were hits in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm.
I remember her telling me in Germany, she was nobody, and she'd, get off the plane in the Netherlands, and she was a star because she had two big records over there back to back. One was called Lady of the Night, and the other one was called The Hostage. And
Okay.
but anyway, when I met her was 1977. She was just returning back to America. We were in Los Angeles, and she had this song "Love to Love You, Baby," which I kind of in my snobbish songwriter point of view, kind of viewed it as a novelty.
Oh, okay.
So when I met Donna, I had no great anticipation or anything like that. It was kind of like an impromptu meeting, and I immediately realized that my perception of her was wrong.
Uh-huh.
That this was somebody who was, extremely unique with a great sense of humor, a great empathy, and a super talent.
Yes.
So,
Most definitely.
so
Most definitely.
we started writing songs that day.
Wow.
And
Okay. So right then at the start, that was the next question I was going to ask you. What was the songwriting process between you and her?
Our writing process was always very impromptu. It wasn't very. We like to just vibe and pull ideas out and not really have any preconceived notions about things. It was a very free kind of situation. We would go into the studio at night. We had another friend from Brooklyn who had built a studio in Burbank. His name was Bobby Incorvia. We affectionately called him Inky. And we would call him up in the middle, at midnight, most times when we assumed the studio was vacant and say, can we come in and write, and basically it was the same process, the four of us, each of us on a microphone, hit the 2-track machine and then just vamp for as long as we wanted, and then at a later point in time, go back and listen to the tape and, try to make sense out of things and then further develop them in a more concrete way. And in fact, that's the way Bad Girls was written. It came out of one of these sessions.
And that song was one of the top songs of 1979. You could not go to a disco and not hear Donna's voice somewhere. Hey, Leslie, come here. Honey.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing is that, Bad Girls was actually one of the last songs recorded for the record.
Bruce, this is my wife, Leslie.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Leslie, how are you?
Huge Donna Summer fan.
Oh, my gosh. Donna. Oh,
We were just talking about going to discos.
my childhood. My gosh. She just lit up. She just lit up my life. I remember listening to her on tape, actually, all the way to Florida and back, 19-hour drive. Me and my friends just singing along with her at the top of our voices. Yeah, love Donna.
Yeah.
Love Donna. Yeah.
That's great cruising music. It'll definitely power you right along the road for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then, the discos in Chicago. Oh my gosh, all the clubs. I mean, it wasn't a night of dancing without Donna, So yeah,
for sure.
I'm gonna get back to it now.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Leslie.
Nice to meet you too. Blessings always.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Now, let's talk about the album that you've got now. It is called Talkin Ugly Truth, Tellin Pretty Lies, and it explores the themes of love and struggle and spirituality. What was the inspiration for collecting all these songs?
Probably 2 years ago, I was here in Italy and the record before it was just about running its course, and I was in process of writing a bunch of songs, and Talkin Ugly Truth, Tellin Pretty Lies. I was kind of in this headspace of where I was watching, people in the news and people in my environment who were basically leading a life of fooling themselves,
right? Exactly.
and thinking that they were going to get away with things forever. And I kind of use the analogy of a mafioso story of where the mafioso, he's living his life, he gets away with things for his whole life, and there he is, 79 years old, and he gets arrested for jaywalking and spends the rest of his life in jail. Eventually the karma's going to catch up with you. There's this big just assault on the concept of truth in our culture these days.
Oh, yeah.
And so all this stuff was just roaming around my head, and it drove, it brought to life the song Talkin Ugly Truth, Tellin Pretty Lies, which is on one level, the story of a couple of renegades who like to do things the wrong way and think they're going to get away with it forever, but ultimately get caught.
Next track we want to talk about is called Make the World Go Away. It's got a real infectious groove, and you worked with Ken Lewis on it. Can you tell how Ken's collaboration with you brought it to life?
Well, Ken produced the whole album except for one song.
Okay.
So Ken and I have a really great working relationship. We have a very interesting simpatico. And kind of how I work with him is I do all my vocals, all my guitars here, and I send them to him in Ohio. And then we talk about the track. We talk about, the production. And then the files get sent to New York, where we put the rhythm section on. And, Ken has a really good way of working because he works slowly. It takes time when you're creating something. It takes time. Sometimes you hit on things quickly, but more often than not, you really have to move slowly as you're bringing something to life if you want it to be special, if you want it to be its own unique thing. So you search for and you wait out the elements that you want to incorporate. And so Ken is really good at doing this. And so it was a very good collaboration. It's also a way of I've been doing what I do a long time. And when you do things for a long time, you fall into certain habits of certain ways of doing things. So when it comes to production, I'm very keen to collaborate with people who have a different point of view from mine as it applies to production.
Wonderful.
I get possessive when it comes to the songwriting place. That's the place where I want my control to,
creative
to
control.
be there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because part of the mission of what I do now, this is basically this singer-songwriter version of myself. Basically, is something that I started when Donna passed away. I've always written songs, co-written songs that had success throughout the years. But when it got to that point in my life, I just felt like I wanted to do things the way that I wanted to do them. I wanted to say the things that I wanted to say, talk about the things that are important to me. So that's what I've been doing. And since that time, this is my 6th album. So
it's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
The actual song, Make the World Go Away. What is the backstory on that particular song?
We're all so inundated, is the word, with information these days. It's coming at us from every angle, So, I stole a title from an old Eddie Arnold song.
I remember that one, Make the World Go Away.
There you go. So, I decided that was a good message for the moment. And so basically it's just a song saying, it's basically a prayer. If you really analyze the lyrics, I'm basically talking to the Lord saying, can you take the weight off my shoulders, found a nice little groove to put it all to. Have some really sweet background vocals on there by Irene Blackman, who's a tremendous singer. I'm working with her now on a duet for my next record. It's a song called "Train in the Distance," and Irene is just a great vocal talent. So she's on that one, yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and play it. This is from the album called Talkin Ugly Truth, Tellin Pretty Lies. It's Make the World Go Away from today's podcast guest, Bruce Sudano.
Can you take the weight off my shoulders? I'm tired of carrying it around. Feels like a ton of bricks I'm wearing. Oh Lord, only you can help me now. Somebody set the room on fire. There ain't no easy way to put it out. Make the non-stop, it's another story. You can't deny the news is everywhere. It leaves you with this uneasy feeling of danger all around. It's in the air. Can you lift me up, take me higher? Can you lift me up, get me off the ground? Oh Lord, my body feels so tired. I wish that I could stop, but I don't know how. Make the world go away. 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 Blame it on a rainy day. Make the world go away. When your nerves are frayed and you get to the point of the overload, and your head feels like it's ready to explode, well, that's when you need to make a little getaway. Make a getaway. Make the world go away. 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 Blame it on a rainy day. Make the world go away. 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 Blame it on a rainy day. Make the world go away.
That's Make the World Go Away from Talkin Ugly Truth. Tellin Pretty Lies is from today's podcast guest, Bruce Sudano. And we've got more great stories coming up and more great music also, so stay tuned. I want to thank our good friends I want to say thank you very much for tuning into the Someone You Should Know podcast. I want to say thanks to our friends at Buzzsprout. They're the service that shares us to all the streaming platforms. So very, very happy to reach over 2,800 cities in 106 countries around the world. And I want to salute a couple of those cities, including Jersey City, New Jersey, Sacramento, California, Des Moines, Iowa, and High Wycombe, Buckinghamshire in the United Kingdom. It's a Someone You Should Know podcast heard wherever quality streaming audio is available. Joining me from Milan, Italy, is singer-songwriter and the husband of the late, great Donna Summer, Bruce Sudano. Can you tell us what it was like living with Donna, something that the world might not know, but you absolutely cherish about her?
Well, I mean, the thing about Donna was that, she viewed her persona as Donna Summer as a separate persona to who she was in everyday life. In everyday life, she was always extraordinary, but considered herself ordinary.
Wow.
So she was a great wife. She was a great mother. She was a great friend. She was very goofy and fun to be around. And at the same time, the most unique person that I've ever known, and the most talented person I've ever known. She had just such a quick mind and at the same time, great compassion for people and great empathy for people. And she was just very special.
There's a question I don't normally ask. Where did you propose to her?
Well, we kind of proposed to each other.
Oh.
We went through this period of time where, I would say, let's get married. And she would look at me like, really? And I say, yeah, no. And then like 2 weeks later, she'd say like, let's get married. And I'd be like, really? Nah. And we kind of did this, look, there was a lot of pressure on us.
Yeah.
She was the golden lamb at Casablanca Records, and they were very protective of her, and at the same time, I was on a different label. I was on a label called Millennium, which was distributed by Casablanca
I know
Records.
Millennium. Yeah. Miko was on
Yeah.
Millennium. Yeah. Miko Minardo.
Yes, absolutely. And people at my record company was saying, Bruce, you really shouldn't do this. You're going to destroy your career. You're going to put yourself in the wrong position. So there was a lot of that going on. There was pressure from our families because we were an interracial couple, and this was, late 70s, and was a different time than it was now. People just felt that, the odds were stacked against us, we kind of understood what they were saying. And there were times where, as we were trying to figure ourselves out and what to do, where we would acquiesce to like some of those fears, but ultimately we just got to a place where, we didn't want to live our lives without each other.
That's
and so, we went forward under that auspices and did the best we could with our careers and, raised 3 kids, and I have 9 grandchildren now.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, your daughter, Brooklyn, directed a documentary dedicated to her mom called Love to Love You, Donna Summer.
I can't say there was a first time of me seeing it. Basically went through the process from beginning to end. She co-directed it with a gentleman whose name is Roger Ross Williams. And Roger is an Academy Award-winning documentary director. There was a great, they had a very similar vision, a very unique vision of how to do this. I had a few years before that, back in 2018, I had done the Donna Summer musical on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very interesting experience for me because it was, a lot of clashing of the points of view, and I found myself in a position where I had to acquiesce in situations to things that I didn't agree with. So in doing the documentary, it was very important. My daughter Brooklyn has been an actress for many years. She was on series My Wife and Kids for many years. She's done all the CSIs, Taken, all these things. So she has experience in front of the camera and has, now experience behind the camera and working with Roger for the documentary. And, they did an amazing job. It shows a very different side of Donna. It shows some of the things that she dealt with internally and externally. And as well as there's some great home video in there and amazing performances.
I love that. Next song we're going to feature.
And it's streaming on HBO Max if anybody.
Oh, okay, very good. What we'll do is we'll find that and put it down in the show note. Next song we're going to showcase is Two Bleeding Hearts. Now, this was done with Valerie Simpson of Ashford Simpson. How did this collaboration come about, and what does the song mean to you?
The collaboration came about. I wrote the song, and as I was writing the song, I'm saying, this song could be a duet, and so I'm talking to my manager about it, and I didn't know who to do the duet with. And so she really asked me a very simple question. She said, well, who do you know? and for some reason, Valerie was the first person that popped into my mind. So, and I don't know Valerie that well. She's somebody that I've known, over the years, here and there, we bump into each other, and we both lived in Connecticut for a period of time, and we're neighbors. But anyway, I hadn't seen her in a long time, and I sent her the song. I said, I don't know if you'd be interested in doing this, but and she got back to me. She said, I love the song. I'd love to do it, and so we made this basically a simple record of it. It's me on acoustic guitar, Valerie on piano, a bass and a drum, and our two voices. And it's a great honor for me to be able to sing this song with Valerie. I mean, I consider her one of the superstar songwriters of our generation. Ain't no mountain high enough. Ain't nothing like the real thing. I'm every woman. Her and Nick wrote classics of classics. Mm-hmm. So it was a great thrill for me, and I was, big treat. And it's a really beautiful song and a beautiful record. You asked what the song means to me. Well, the song has, on one level, there's the concept that Valerie and I both lost our spouses basically, a month apart.
Oh my Lord! I didn't realize that.
Same year, So we both had that kind of history together. So the title of the song being "Two Bleeding Hearts," mm-hmm. You can read. Some of that stuff resonates in there. But the story of the song itself is really the story of a loving couple who are in or in a good relationship, and everything seems to be going along fine. And they're just, sitting at the table having a conversation, and one thing gets said and somebody else says something else. And basically out of nowhere, there's this big argument that happens, that's completely unexpected. And, one goes to one side of the apartment or the house, the other one goes to the other side, and everybody's, in their lockdown position. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes who's going to be the first move to reconcile mm-hmm. this fight, so that's basically the story of the song.
Wonderful. Let's feature that right now. From the album, Talkin Ugly Truth, Tellin Pretty Lies, here's some brand new music called Two Bleeding Hearts from today's podcast guest, Bruce Sudano.
After the storm, there's an eerie silence. There's an eerie silence in the damage that's been done from things that were said in the heat of the battle. In the heat of a battle, of a war nobody won. Who'll be the first to say I'm sorry for what I did that hurt and made you mad? And how much more time will be wasted living troubled in the wake of the aftermath? Two bleeding hearts in a wounded love. Two bleeding hearts in a wounded love. It's too late now. You know it. Should have seen it coming. But it happened so fast. We spun out of control. And once it gets started, you know it's really hard to stop it. Like a runaway train on a downhill road. Oh, a runaway train on a downhill road. first to speak forgiveness, when forgiving is the thing we've got to do. Ooh, in the times when we break down under pressure, oh, a little bit of grace is what we both could use. Two bleeding hearts in a wounded love. Two bleeding hearts in a wounded love. Two bleeding hearts in a wounded love.
Great music right there. Two Bleeding Hearts from today's podcast guest, Bruce Sudano. And what's on the agenda for 2025, Bruce? You got more music coming out, or you got a tour coming out? Anything we should know about?
I don't have a tour plan now. What I'm doing this year, I mean, the last few years I've been touring a lot. I've done a number of tours with the Zombies, and a couple of tours with Colin Blunstone. But right now, I'm just doing spot dates. So last month, I did a couple of shows in Los Angeles. In 2 weeks' time, I'm here in Milan. There's a Beatles museum. I'm doing a show at the Beatles Museum here in Milan, and I'm just doing spot dates.
Awesome.
I want to give myself a break from being on the road because I want to. It's time for me to do some songwriting.
Absolutely. You want to spend some time with Francesca too, right?
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the best way to do that, to find out a little bit more about what's going on as far as touring or anything like that, social media is probably the thing. Website, social media. What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, all of the above. BruceSudano.com, Facebook, Instagram, all of it.
We'll include those down in the show notes. So if anyone's out driving in the car right now while they're listening to the podcast, it's like, okay.
Spotify, all the music's on Spotify, Apple Music.
And while you're there, his wife's music too, Donna Summer's music too.
Absolutely.
This next feature, Bruce, is my personal favorite. You've been at this for a very, very long time. It's called Tales from the Road. These are those infamous road stories where things didn't go quite as planned. I mean, sometimes, you get on stage and everything is just letter perfect from the time that you drive there to the time you leave there. And other times there are catastrophes. Can you tell us any particular time that really stands out as your Tales from the Road, Bruce?
I could tell you a story from being on the road with Donna.
Okay, that'd be fine. Let's do that one.
So it's 1979. We're doing a tour that's called the Summer Night Dream Tour, and Brooklyn Dreams are on tour with Donna, and we're touring all over America. And at that particular time, Donna became fascinated with the video camera. And in '79, it wasn't quite like it is now, where you had a camera in your phone and all this stuff. So she went out and bought this high-end video camera, and because everybody, we could do the show, and everybody could go out and do whatever they wanted to do, but Donna, because she would be assaulted by people, not in a bad way, but she couldn't really get any peace. So typically, everybody, people, the band, the crew, everybody would go out, and she would go back to the hotel room and be by herself. So she got this video camera and started this thing where after shows, we would go back to the hotel. A number of us, the Dreams, Donna's sisters, who would sing background with us, and some of the other band members. And we would create, I would say Donna would create scenarios. And we would all act them out, and she would direct us and film them.
Oh.
And as it would be, in those days we had some old school English rock and roll roadies.
Oh, no.
So we got into filming this one particular scene, and the next thing I know, like lamps were getting knocked over, the hotel management was coming up, and people were putting were short sheeting people's beds and putting honey in their beds, and it just got way out of hand. But it was a lot. It was a lot of fun.
It helps it helps everyone bond together too, as far as that goes.
Yeah, it's great for bonding, and it's great for letting off steam. Awesome. And going back to the documentary, some of that particular footage that Donna filmed is actually in the documentary.
Very good. Well, we'll look for that. Once again, that documentary is on HBO Max. I'll have the show notes. We'll have the information on that. Thanks for your tales from the road, Bruce. Do appreciate that. Now, we're going to wrap the show up with the title cut, Talking Ugly Truth, Tellin Pretty Lies. You already told what it's about. What do you like most about this particular song, Bruce?
This is another song where Irene Blackman is singing with me on it. You'll hear her soulfulness. It's stripped down in kind of a really cool kind of way. It tells a really interesting story. I think the story comes through strong. There's some really sweet horn parts on there that are really tastily done and sporadic. They're not throughout the whole story. There's a part of the end of the song where I get into talking about Bonnie and Clyde and the fascination of Bonnie and Clyde, and you can hear the bass player go into the Lou Reed riff from do 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 do. So there's a little taste of that in there, and it's just a soulful song with a cool little story to it.
Awesome. Bruce, I thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Or in your case, it's nighttime over there in Milan, Italy. It's afternoon here in Chicago. But thanks so very much for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you, Rick.
Sharing the memories from your lovely wife and talking some great music that you got out right now. So I want everyone to make sure you get yourself a copy or download a copy of Talkin Ugly Truth, Tellin Pretty Lies from my guest today, Bruce Sudano. Thanks again for being on the show, Bruce.
Thanks, Rick. It was really a pleasure, and you really were born for the radio.
He tells her what she wants to hear. She's got her own twisted reality. It's late night sex and warm Belgian beer. They're living lives of stolen opportunity. Now she got more tattoo cool than him. He keeps the weapons buried in their waterbed, tripping on the dark with the black light dim. They keep repeating stories they've already said. It's been a wild ride, filled with lows and highs. You take all your medicine in stride, driving down the dark side with the shadows of the night, talking ugly truth, telling pretty lies. Talking ugly truth, telling pretty lies. All that dirty money that got washed away, it all comes back to haunt you like a doggone bed. Just when you think you've made your great escape, you find another way to just get caught again. It's been a hard time, a truth no one denies. Make stupid choices and you pay the price. Rolling with the crazy down a crooked mine, talking ugly truth, telling pretty lies. Nothing lasts forever, nothing's ever free. Better learn that lesson before it gets too late. Cause you don't see him coming when the man is on his way. Got you with your pants down around your knees, down definition is Bonnie and Clyde. Didn't they see the way that story ends? Shot them all to pieces, the way to end your life. Talking ugly truth, telling pretty lies. Talking ugly truth, telling pretty lies. Just talking ugly truth, telling pretty lies. Talking ugly truth, telling pretty lies. Talk, 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 talking. Just talk, 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 talking.
Hi, this is Rick Anthony, thanking you again for listening to this episode of Someone You Should Know. Now, if you're an aspiring musician or an established musician that's looking for a little exposure, I invite you to drop us a line at someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. That's someoneyoushouldknowpodcast@gmail.com. Also, I invite you to tell a friend about the Someone You Should Know podcast. I thank you for tuning in this time, and I invite you to check us out next time on the Someone You Should Know podcast, because you never know who's going to show up. Until next time, remember, God loves you, and so do I.